It's always nice to be in a room full of people who want to talk about loyalty. And as Rick said, I'm going to talk about the loyalty blind spot. I'm going to start, though, by talking about the complexity and volatility within which we operate and the complex and changing world within which our customers live. Clearly, the world is now gripped by a very long-term and very serious recession. You could believe that our politicians have got a plan and that we're going to get out of it soon, or you could be more skeptical. But it doesn't look like it's going to turn around anytime soon. Those of us who live in Europe have got an even more challenging situation where we lurch from crisis to crisis and from solution to solution. But if you're carrying euros in your wallet, it does seem to be perpetually unclear as to whether you're going to have currency or just paper in your wallet by the end of the week. Beyond purely the economics of the world does get a more challenging and complex place, and some of the broader geopolitical events seem to put further uncertainty over markets. And so whoever wins tomorrow, I don't think will celebrate for very long before they turn around to what's an extraordinarily challenging to-do list. At the same time, we're stretching science and to some extent stretching some of our beliefs by looking for the source of life itself and even looking for life on Mars. Now, I'm not sure I want to believe that there's life on Mars, but if a British guy can win a major tennis tournament within my lifetime, then I guess I have to start believing in almost anything. We live in a VUCA world. I didn't come up with this. I wish I had. It's all over the strategy literature now. And VUCA stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. I think it's actually a bit of a tautology myself, but it does capture the moment, and it does capture the idea that the only thing that forecasters can agree on is that we'd better prepare for more discontinuous change. For marketers, this means that consumers and companies are protecting their cash, and consumers and companies are shortening their planning horizons. It means there's an erosion of trust between voters and politicians, and it also means that there's an erosion of trust between consumers and brands. Now, the positive corollary of that for us is that when you win that trust, it's more valuable today than it ever has been. And it's here that we turn to the world of loyalty marketing. Because despite the harsh environment within which we operate, I would argue that as an industry, loyalty marketing is thriving. And I'm going to talk about this today really not from an AIMIA perspective, or not too much from an AIMIA perspective, and more from an industry perspective. But while marketing budgets are tight, marketing budgets are getting cut, our perspective is, what we see in the industry is that loyalty marketing spend is increasing because loyalty marketing is delivering ROI. Big data is on the tip of every marketer's tongue as everybody tries to figure out how to use customer analytics to build better relationships. In June, we saw the first ever loyalty awards, recognition at last for the role that loyalty marketers are playing in the success of their businesses. Nectar, our Nectar program in the UK, celebrated its 10th birthday this year. That was a plug. And more players are turning to loyalty, with even Waitrose and John Lewis as an example this year, adapting a loyalty card. And we live in an exciting period of innovation where we see loyalty marketers embracing social, local, and mobile technologies in order to improve their brand experience. And just these aren't AIMIA examples. Some of the things that have caught our eye over the last year. American Express integrating social into their consumer and small business comms in the UK. KLM, one of the many airlines around the world, seems to be quite a lot of innovation in the airline sector in this. Linking Facebook accounts to improve predicted choices on behalf of their customer preferences for things like seating selection, as well as earning points even when they're not flying. EMI, the music industry, clearly has had huge discontinuous change over the last 10 to 15 years. And it's been interesting to see how they've reacted. So any fans of XX in the audience will know that in September, the band launched their new album, and this is a bit like the Harry Potter example that we saw earlier, by releasing it to one superfan, who then, through his social network, spread the news of the release, and spread the release around his network. And finally, Tasty Delight, the frozen dessert company in the US, that linked their rewards platform to tweets, Foursquare check-ins, and Facebook updates, effectively merging the loyalty program with the social network of their customers and delivering some fantastic results. So loyalty marketers look like they're thriving, and loyalty marketers are doing some exciting stuff. At the same time, and in the context of the macro pressures that we talked about, the traditional marketing industry is struggling. Their world and their life is not easy. Traditional media audiences continue to fragment. So even the big weekend blockbuster programs, Downton Abbey, X Factor, whatever, are delivering smaller audiences today than a Tuesday night soap opera was 10 or 15 years ago. Online is where everybody's putting their money. I think online will be the biggest advertising channel in the US this year. But frankly, my view is that the metrics that we're using to measure online are no better than the metrics that these guys were using. And even the newest darlings of the industry face some pretty significant challenges, what looks like pretty early in their life cycle. Within this context, my belief and our belief at AIMIA is that as loyalty marketers expand our scope from transactions to interactives, we've got an opportunity and an obligation to take a more central role in defining both marketing strategy and organizational strategy. But I think we could miss the opportunity. And I think we face two blind spots. The first blind spot is that we miss the moment, and the second blind spot is that we miss the point. And I'm going to take each of them in turn. In order to avoid missing the moment, you're going to have to redefine your role and the role of loyalty marketing within your organization. We all know that loyalty stretches well beyond cards and points, but I think the loyalty team needs to start positioning themselves as the customer scientists in the organization. As loyalty marketers, we're the people in the organization whose role it is to identify, build, and nurture one-to-one relationships with our customers. Now, technology and data are making this more possible and more effective. Building a granular understanding of each customer and developing one-to-one relationships is the key strategic challenge that marketers face. And by getting it right, you have the opportunity to move loyalty marketing to the heart, not just of marketing strategy, but of corporate strategy. There was a great article, there we go. There was a great article in Ad Age a few months, actually probably about a year ago now, which implored CMOs to embrace data or else watch the marketing department get relegated to being nothing more than the promotions department. In other words, avoid that first blind spot and don't miss the moment. The article made the point beautifully, and I'm going to read from it here. They said, thanks to the explosion of data from social media platforms, call centers, transactions, loyalty programs, registries, and more, CMOs who want a seat at the table will have to harness customer data and leverage it, or risk being relegated to chief promotions officer. The payoff for marketers who accept that challenge will be data and insight that give them credibility and validity to go along with their hunch and expertise. So our first blind spot is that we miss the moment and don't realize that the opportunity that presents itself to us as loyalty marketers. My second reservation is that if we don't miss the moment, we might still miss the point. As marketers, we have great new toys to play with, but the risk is that we go too far with the idea that the media is the message. The risk is that we allow technology, we get blinded by what technology allows us to do to the point where we forget what the customer actually needs from us. There's too much talk about what technology allows us to do to consumers, rather than what technology allows us to do for and with consumers. And I personally get a little bit fed up with the fact, or the idea, that technology seems to be enabling clever ways to do stupid marketing, rather than clever marketing that builds engaged one-to-one relationships. So daily deals is fantastic. Daily deals is an exciting way for lots of consumers to get offers and ideas that they would never have got through any other channel. But it's also, I think, leading to the offer anarchy that Rick alluded to earlier and driving value out of some categories. When was the last time anyone in the UK paid full price for a pizza? And why does anyone think I need a fish pedicure? Location-based marketing can unlock relevance of time and place in a way that we could never do before. But where, oh where, are the big ideas in this sector? Can it really be the case that all those clever people did all that brilliant work so that I can get offered a free muffin when I walk past a coffee shop or become the mayor of my local pub? There have got to be some big ideas in this, and we're not seeing them yet. I've got one leather wallet. Over the last year to 18 months, I've talked to upwards of 20 people in the digital payment space, and they all tell me not to worry, that I'm only going to need one digital wallet. The problem is that every single one of them has told me that the one I need is theirs. So who's representing the consumer and who's thinking about the consumer in the digital payment space? And finally, we all love to talk about one-to-one relationships, and we all love to talk about micro-segmentations. And yet somehow we revert back to the stereotypes quickly. And through all the clever marketing literature, I still see us talk about, for example, housewives, as if they all look like June Whitfield in the 1970s. Don't get me wrong. Social, local, and mobile, along with customer data, are defining the roadmap for how loyalty and the loyalty industry moves beyond cards and points. But in order to do that successfully, we have to stay grounded in the idea that we are customer scientists, and we have to move the customer to the heart of corporate strategy. I'll finish by saying that as a loyalty marketer, you must never lose sight of the absolute fundamentals of this industry. It's about saying thank you. It's about building one-to-one relationships with customers based on a value exchange that works for both of you. And it's about making customers feel good about giving you their business rather than taking it to the people next door. Avoid the loyalty blind spots. Don't miss the moment. It's time for loyalty marketers to step up and take loyalty and the customer to the heart of corporate strategy. And don't miss the point. Technologies are incredibly exciting, only as the servants of consumers in building better relationships with brands that they trust. Thanks very much.